Hey everybody, welcome back to our Walking Dead reviews. This week we are looking at The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 2, The Bridge. This is Chris, and with me as usual, Jason.
Hey, this week we're burning bridges.
Nah, you cheesy motherfucker. Alright. No, The Bridge. Can I just say real quick, welcome back, Walking Dead. I saw you last week, but I felt you this week. All right.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, and we said we enjoyed. We thought last week was a good show, but kind of the feeling wasn't there that we usually get. Jason, why don't you go ahead? What was your overall feeling of this week's episode?
It felt like back to basics. We got some decent plot progression. We got some angry Daryl, which is a great throwback to early Daryl. I love angry Daryl. And we got to see some people die in horribly gruesome and horrific ways, which is always a bonus, And
somebody lost an arm.
Yeah. By the way, and we're going to talk about this amputation that this 16-year-old girl just performed.
Was it bullshit?
Oh, absolutely.
I thought it was bullshit.
Dude, I'm like, I know doctors who would hesitate more than this girl did. Like,
she's like,
damn.
It's gotta go.
Also,
it's just a hangnail.
That is the cleanest cut I have ever seen on a non-surgical amputation. Like, this kid could...
Which, by the way, Jason speaks from a place of experience. He works in the medical field. But we're obviously talking about that right now. It was crazy. She sees it's like, it's got to go, and they're both like, "Are you serious?" It's like
that's a big decision to make. Like, a lot goes into amputations. If you want, I can. God, I could go on about amputations.
Well, it was absolutely crazy though. I'm waiting for the part where Sadiq looks at him and he's like, you didn't have to do that. it was just like, we wanted to stop the bleeding, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I understand that they have limited tools and technology, but I'm sure there's other ways to stop the bleeding other than it's got to go.
Oh yeah, I mean, hell, I can think of 3 off the top of my head.
I mean, if they're going to cauterize that wound, can't they just cauterize the wound right now?
I mean, they could. The other thing they could do is just put a tourniquet on him, cut off the blood flow, fix up his arm on your own decent time, and then pop the tourniquet and see what spurts and squirts and patch that up.
Spurts and squirts. Is that a technical term?
That is a very technical term.
But it did look. His arm did look pretty awesomely gnarly when they got the log off it. That was pretty cool. It's like, I can see bone, and it's clearly flattened. And but great effects like that are not anything new for the show. But yeah, it looked awesome.
Yeah, well, and it feels like there's more detail in the show again. Like, I don't know what it is, but like the last couple of seasons, it felt like the details were kind of fading away. The walkers were generic. Now we got the vermin-eyed walkers. Like the little things that sort of bring you more into the world. I think have. They really showed themselves this episode, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing for me, what really hit me, and I bet you, and please comment, those that are catching this, because I have a feeling that this is going to probably be one of the better episodes of the season. The moment when Rick and Carol and Daryl are in that tent and they're working out issues, I'm like, God damn, this is old school Walking Dead right here.
Oh yeah.
Look at there's Rick and Carol and Daryl figuring shit out. I haven't seen this in forever. And it was really great. I think part of what was really good about this episode was the fact that you had a lot of that. You had your core characters working together on things. You had Michonne and Maggie working stuff out, talking about things. You had that. You had it with Rick and Daryl and Carol, and at the same time killing walkers. At the same time, you had consequences for bad people's actions, and there was a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there were consequences for all people's actions.
And we had the first we had the first BJ in the Walking Dead. I mean, we obviously didn't see it.
No,
but what do you not know? Maybe I'm assuming too much. But
I know exactly what you're talking about. I just didn't think that was gonna come up in the conversation. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I'm bringing it up in a very crude way, but yeah, there's something definitely. It's a theme that I think they started with the last episode, and they're definitely carrying in right now, and I think it's a theme throughout the whole season, if not through the show until it's done. I mean, you even see it in the opening cinematic. The every season, the Walking Dead title has been decaying more and more as the seasons go on. But this is the first season where it's full again, and it's got some green in it. And I think you're seeing now that they're not in survival mode, and they're actually, their communities are trying to grow and thrive and become something. People are hooking up.
Yeah, by the way, can we just say how bad of a priest Gabriel is? Like, well, this dude has broken every priest rule in the book, starting from the moment we met him, which is don't feed your flock to zombies, all the way down to the sort of abstinence thing that he's finally broken this circle round,
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing where it's like, I'm pretty sure that priests, depending on what kind of a priest you are, so some have to be celibate, some don't. But I'm pretty sure for the ones that don't, they at least have to be married.
Yeah, right?
I'm pretty sure that's a thing, but...
Just want to put it on record that Father Gabriel is, like, the worst priest ever.
I'm fine with it, but, whatever. But, hey, that's great. No, but you have relationships forming. Jerry's got a chick. Carol and Ezekiel are a thing.
Yep. They've got Henry.
What? Oh, you mean the kid?
Yeah, the kid.
Yeah, you get kind of a family unit going there. That was shocking as well to see that Carol would even be kind of open to something like that. I mean, not to mention losing her own daughter so many years ago, but at the same time, the whole thing with the two other girls and look at the flowers and having to deal with all that stuff. And we're seeing substantial growth. I mean, last week they showed us a lot of stuff and they planted a lot of seeds as to things that we're going to see. But this, I mean, it was like an immediate payoff. And this whole thing with the bridge, which I love, I think it's great. I especially like the fact that, I mean, Rick is doing something that he's happy to do. I mean, normally Rick's got to be in charge because something horrible is happening and he's the guy that can take care of it. But it's like, they're growing, they're creating a bridge, and I mean, that's both realistically something that they need, but at the same time, it's obviously figuratively, it's very important as well.
Yeah, too bad somebody's out there whacking saviors.
Yeah, well, are they though?
Yeah,
are they whacking
that
saviors?
Last scene where the guy who got kicked out turns around, he's like, "Oh hey," and then whack. Right?
I think that was. I don't think anyone's killing saviors. If you mean literally like whacking as in killing him, I don't think they're killing him. I think they took him captive, or at least pulled him off the road. I think you have a group of renegade saviors who are going to try to spoil the fun. And since it is open for everyone to see, I think that is eventually one of them is who's going to end up killing or shooting or injuring Rick to the point of his death.
Yeah, I took that to be something else. I took it to mean that like somebody's out there killing saviors because they there's some unfinished business. And I assumed that eventually the saviors aren't going to take too kindly to the fact that nobody's doing anything about their friends and family disappearing, and there's going to be a revolt of some sort. Negan's going to find his way to worm his way out of prison, and he's probably going to be the one to off Rick.
And that's not to say that something like that may not happen as well. They may try to disguise their intentions and what they're actually doing to try to make it look like that's happening, that there's carelessness towards the saviors and they're just letting things happen to them. But I do believe it is actually a rogue group. I mean, if you look at what happened to him, he recognized whoever that was.
But that could be said of anybody,
But at the same time, the show was I thought the show was very specific as to show that there was no fatal blow to him. I believe they at least they probably knocked him out or something, but it looked more like they we're just kind of incapacitating him.
I mean, to be fair, we also have a history of giving this show more credit than it deserves. When it comes to this, you remember the bad guy from Fear last season? We thought all kinds of great things were going to happen with her.
Yeah, no, she was horrible.
Yeah, you know.
Martha
so
sucks.
I guess I'm going to be cautiously.
You're not wrong for being cautious with this show. I mean, at this point, there's definitely been some bad points with the shows in the last couple seasons. You're not wrong for that. You know, we'll obviously see in the next couple of weeks how it all plays out. Overall, I really, as if you can't tell, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was great. Aaron losing his arm was a shock. In the comics, he still has all of his limbs. So, that was surprising. We got to see a lot of good action. It didn't seem like there was any time wasted, which is something that they've definitely done a lot of as of late. You got Tara taking some jabs at Rick, which is always fun to see. She tends to do that with him. Good stuff overall. We got to see Daryl with his blades. That's a new thing for him now. Is he's got those two blades. We got to see him pull those out. They're trying to make a big deal out of that and out of some of the advertising and such. But what did you think of that?
I don't know. It didn't really track with me. It was like, oh, he's got a new weapon.
Yeah, no, it wasn't for very long. But they're kind of making a big deal out of it. He's got these twin knives now, but they're a lot longer than your typical knives. So
yeah. I'll tell you what did interest me though. We got to see the chopper again. We
did, and now you and I have talked about this. And Anna saw the chopper.
Yeah.
I still think that's going to play a role for Maggie. I don't know for sure though, but it's obviously going to play a role. I really like the statement that she had made to Gabriel, which she had said, "You can ask me whatever you want. I just won't tell you any secrets." Which at the same time is probably like, well, so then you're probably not going to be saying much, are you? But it's good to see her, and it's good to see her without that crappy hair and not talking like a garbage person anymore.
Yeah, you know what's kind of weird though? The chopper's like the Walking Dead equivalent of a UFO. Like a couple of people have seen it, just never when anyone else is around, and you never are quite sure if you actually saw it or you were just hallucinating it.
Yeah, no, I mean I have my theories on it, and I will not speak on them because I'm still about 4 years ahead, and I think I've got a pretty good idea. Speaking of outside influences from our regular cast here, Maggie did mention in the conversation with Jesus about Jordan, and I actually didn't catch it the first time I saw it. Jordan is that lady that they had met who gave them that book on how to create all that medieval kind of stuff. Do you remember that episode from last season?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere where it's like, oh, here's a lady and she's going to give you a book. And it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Now it's coming back to me.
Right, and so they made mention of that. They're still in contact. They're still talking to each other. So that was interesting. None of that comes from the comic. So that's interesting to see. I love it when they mix that into the show. So there's some more communication besides just the helicopter hanging around. You have this Jordan person who does a lot of traveling and openly said when we met her last season that she has met a lot of different communities and is in contact with a lot of different people. So, now I think you had said last week, and this is probably the last thing before we go here, I think you had mentioned last week that you think Maggie's going down a pretty dark path at this point.
Yeah.
Do you still think so?
Yeah, I do. She hasn't, at least from what I saw, I don't think she's showing any remorse for what she did. She's trying to play damage control. And that thing about letting, what's-her-face, Tammy, in to go see her husband is more about placating the masses than it is about genuine, I think, empathy on her part.
I would agree with you completely up until the part where we did see the communication between a guy, I can't remember, what's his name, Earl? Yeah, between her and Earl, and the obvious correlation with Earl and Herschel that she ended up making. I probably would have agreed with you up until that point where it's like, okay, she's learning that not everyone's like Gregory, and not everyone needs to be treated like Gregory. And even though she may have consciously known that, she was not approaching things in that way. And the fact that she let him out, and also the fact that she really needed her blacksmith, which, there was obviously a bit of necessity to that decision as well. But to understand that, as much as we all love Herschel, and we talked a lot about him last week because unfortunately the actor passed away, and we never did get to see it. Herschel would tell you about the times when he was not such a great person himself and made a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I definitely think it was a growing moment for her. That was nice to see because I don't think she's going down a dark path. So, it'll be interesting to see. I just think that she's in a position where she feels she needs to prove herself, and in doing that, she may make some bad decisions.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I think I'm going to hold off making a statement one way or another until we see a little bit more about how she decides where to go from here.
All right, so finally, and I think you kind of spoiled it. So I get one other thing real quick because we didn't really touch on Negan. We did actually get to see Negan. Well, we kind of saw Negan, but we heard from Negan. So you believe he's going to get out eventually, and somehow it's going to have to do with these whoever's. You think it's going to involve the Saviors?
Oh, absolutely. Rick and Negan. I mean, especially now that we know these are Rick's last episodes, Negan was built up over the last couple of seasons as like this big antithesis character to Rick, like the dark side of the same coin. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to play way more into that, and they're going to be like Rick and Negan are they're fated to fight or something like that, just sort of like give that vibe that, whatever's going to happen to Rick, Negan's definitely going to be involved.
I'm hesitant to say anything again because I'm still a few years ahead with the comic. I will say that eventually Negan does get out. But I will also say that given the short time frame we still have with Rick, I don't think that's going to play out in the way that it did in the comics. So I don't know. No, but I mean, obviously he's going to get out eventually, though. I don't think that's really spoiling anything to say that.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Okay, so let's rate this thing. 1 out of 5 bridges. Or should we say 1 out of 5 amputated arms? Let's go to amputated arms.
Alright, I'm going to give it...
1 out of 5 unnecessarily amputated arms.
I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 unnecessarily amputated arms.
I'm going to give 4.5. This was really close to a perfect episode for me. I really liked it that much. When I look at the whole episode and everything they did, and I just ask myself, could they have done anything much better? I think they probably could have done things a little bit better, but overall, this was a great episode. And I really hope that from here on out, this is the feels that I get for most of the episodes, because this was a good one. This felt like I said at the beginning of the review here, welcome back, Walking Dead. I missed you, and I'm glad that you showed up this week. Not that you were bad last week, but you were pretty great this week. All right, so that's going to do it for us. Let us know how you felt about this week's episode. Go ahead and comment below. And if you liked our review, if you could subscribe and give us a like, that would be great. Jason, any last words?
Yeah. Watch out for random explosions near bridges.
I mean, once again, your advice is dumbfounding yet obviously correct and accurate. So that's all I got.
It's all right. My superpower. That is Captain Obvious.
That is the superpower right there. All right, that's something super. That's for sure. All right, that is going to do it for us. So we will see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Peace.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, is there anything to go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Yeah, who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.